I'd like to demonstrate to you how to insert a Bakri balloon, and I'm going to use a few models to depict the uterus. The first one is this model of a football, which essentially demonstrates a lady who has delivered vaginally. You can use a different type of football, one that has an incision at the top to represent a caesarean section. Football, which is approximately the right size, fits in a pelvis, and the insertion of the balloon is obviously vaginally. I'm going to make use of a model, which is demonstrated here, with the balloon, with the football in the back. First thing you need to do is to ensure that you have an indication to use the balloon, and the indication for the balloon is uterine atony. You can insert the balloon in a number of ways. You can insert the balloon by using a speculum, identify the cervix and put the balloon inside using a Rampley's forceps, or alternatively you can insert the balloon with your fingers. And I'm going to do that now. So, examination and insertion of the balloon. At this stage, you should have an assistant that will help you to inflate the balloon while you are holding the balloon in the appropriate location. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I will inflate the balloon myself. I have replaced the two-way tap with a three-way tap for the purposes of the demonstration, and I'm using air instead of normal saline. What you would do is you would essentially inflate 50 and repeat this procedure until you get approximately 200 mils of saline into the uterus. At this point, I would advise that you check to see if the patient is still bleeding. You should check both at the level of the cervix and at the level of the drainage channel of the tubing. If the bleeding has stopped, this is a sufficient amount of saline. If the bleeding hasn't stopped, I suggest you put in another 50 and repeat the process of checking to see whether this is a sufficient amount. If you reach 500 mils, then you should stop and abandon this procedure, as the tamponade test is negative. After you have inserted the balloon and inflated it, you may choose to strap the balloon to the patient's thigh, or alternatively pack the vagina to ensure that the balloon stays within the uterine cavity. At the end of this procedure, the uterine cavity. If you do not keep the balloon at the fundus as you are inflating, there is a chance that the balloon will distend at the level of the cervix. This is inappropriate placement. Therefore, the way to avoid this from happening is to ensure that the balloon is maintained at the fundal region prior to insufflation. The patient can then be returned to the ward or the birthing unit or intensive care, depending on their other resuscitation requirements. I suggest that the balloon is deflated within a 24-hour period. This can be done in 2 stages, perhaps after 12 hours, but then ensure that she is no longer bleeding. Thank you.